Hey, welcome back to the Clown Show. My name is Peter Mansbridge. Little housekeeping before we get into the program. 2 programs ago, we did a report about Health Canada quietly changing the novel food status regarding cloned meat and swine, meaning potentially it could be sold next to the conventional meat unlabeled. However, due to some public backlash from consumers and folks within the industry, as of November 19th, 2025, Health Canada has indefinitely paused that policy change. So, any cloned meat in your grocery store should at least be labeled. So, yeah, the people makes their voice heard. And really, when I was reading the articles about it, it was kind of saying they were going to see if there's any backlash, basically. That's what I was getting at. That's the weirdest thing to come out and be like, yo, we got this clone meat. We got the clone meat, man. We're going to clone the meat and the swine. We've done the science. It's completely good for you. And it's so safe. We're going to put it on the shelves and not even label it. Is that cool, guys? And then so, update on the clone meat. Okay, it's going to have to be labeled, all right? Breaking news. Like, big shocker, guys. But the last program, I read the final address of former President of the United States, Dwight D. Eisenhower. We read it in full, and while there is a myriad of insights, I'll quote only 2. Quote, in the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. And we'll continue here. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes, which is too late, but we should take nothing for granted. So basically, he warned us of the military-industrial complex way back in 1961 because he was in a unique spot to see it happen. Post-World War II, you see the powers of the world coming together and recognizing that war, it could be a racket. It could be a nice business opportunity for us, okay? And actually, in one of my past videos, I got messed up in the brain because I brought up like 3 different things at once. One of the things I brought up was how the United States government, they were the big superpower. So was the Soviet Union, Russia, right? So there was the big Cold War that was going on. So I brought up they're building up the nuclear arms threat. So you got to go under your desks just in case big bad Russia at any time, man, they could just blow this up, right? So my point of bringing that up was that during the 90s, sometime in the 90s, I can't remember which year, mid 90s, maybe late 90s, the budget for defense in America went down. The budget for like the CIA or the defense, it went down. And it was like, you know what? Post World War II, the United States is a superpower. The Soviet Union falls in like 91. So then it's kind of like, guys, we did it. It's over. We did it. Let's take this money. We'll invest it into our country. We'll have the best country ever. There's no threats or anything, but that's not how it went. It went like, oh, there could be threats. There might be threats. And long story short, September 11th, 2001 happens. The planes hit the towers. And then, guys, the budget, it goes up, okay? It hasn't been going down. It hasn't been staying the same. It's been going up, so. This guy's warning about a military-industrial complex. These guys need to take over the factories. They need to build the bullets, the guns, the bombs, the tanks. Big money being involved here. Big money. Big opportunity to get big government contracts. And that's actually how I think they siphon off all this money, man. It's like, you need the defense for the wars. It's like, it's dangerous, right? It's really dangerous, right? And it's like, you drop millions and billions and trillions, and it's like, These guys just take a little bit here and there, man. So these rich guys get richer, and they're using, well, the world as a stage, basically, and they're manipulating your safety, basically. So Eisenhower was warning about in 1961, he could see this starting to come, you know? And he warned us that we should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can basically keep these guys accountable and force them to, hey, we're paying attention, we see you. You can't spend our money on this and that. You can't we can't be in constant war here. We need to prosper. But if you have a citizenry that's distracted, busy, no idea what's going on, then that's kind of what we're seeing today, where attacks can happen. We have no idea how they originated. They could be fishy. They could be organic. They could be taken advantage of. And our securities and liberties get taken away. We've seen that after 9/11. You see that after every major crisis. So, Dwight D. Eisenhower, a firm warning. You need a engaged, smart citizenry that knows what the government's up to, who knows who's lobbying the government, who knows who's paying the government, who's in their ear, so that we can watch if your words line up with your actions, and then we can call you out when they don't. But if we have no idea what's going on, we will be taken advantage of, and that's exactly what's happening. Another factor in maintaining balance involves the element of time. As we peer into society's future, we, you and I, and our government, must avoid the impulse to live only for today, plundering, for our own ease and convenience, the precious resources of tomorrow. We cannot mortgage the material assets of our grandchildren without risking the loss also of their political and spiritual heritage. We want democracy to survive for all generations to come, not to become the insolvent phantom of tomorrow. So that's another issue we've been having going on, is that it seems like, now I know that you as an individual can't change the big picture, what's going on, right? But it doesn't change the fact that we voted for it. We all voted for it. They said we're going to borrow this money. We're going to borrow this money. Over and over again, they said we're going to borrow this money, and they told you what they were going to borrow it for, and we all voted for it over and over again. I'm not saying what you should have done, but that's just where we are, guys. And here's what I'm saying. As a man in 2025 in Canada here, it's like, I do not support these budgets being passed. I do not support these governments here in Canada spending all this money, mortgaging the future of our children, the unborn, man. That's who they're messing with, the unborn. So this isn't about me. This isn't about you. You understand? It's about bigger things at play. And we can't borrow money nonstop and expect generation after generation after us to be happy, to fall in line and work. And like, if we want law and order and society's norms to be kind of similar, what do you expect if you mortgage the future of your children and your grandchildren, and then they're here and they're angry, and you're kind of telling them to like work harder or something, and they're looking at you and be like, yo, you voted for this? I grew up, and all the adults in my sphere, school, all the teachers, all the people of authority, man, they weren't telling me like, this is messed up, we're doing it wrong, this isn't democracy or free market. Like, as far as I'm concerned, everyone was on board. So, and if you didn't know what was going on, you acted like you did. So everyone is kind of guilty in participating in like, oh yeah, we're all acting like this is normal. And it's like, well, what actually happened was they mortgaged the future of the kids. No one said anything. And now here we are where a couple generations might not even that well off. You just might have a home or something. And now you have people coming up who are like way more in tune with like, no, we're being screwed over here. So in a sense, your voting kind of matters. So in a sense, if you comply with all these budgets dropping year after year, election cycle after election cycle, then you're okay with borrowing the money. You're okay with inflation. You're kind of okay with where we're at. You know, I don't see much opposition. Is my point. So this is all I'm doing. I don't expect to change the world on here, guys. All I'm doing is kind of getting on here being like, I don't approve of the budget. I don't want to mortgage the future of the unborn. I want to put a stop to this delusional cycle going on here. Even though I know that I'm not going to be able to, I don't care. I want people who might watch this later on, people who know me or whatever, I want them to know where I stand. More importantly, this channel is about me getting on the record. I'm going public with where I stand on everything. Everyone's going to know where I stand on everything. I'm not going to know where anyone else stands on anything, but that's okay. I'm kind of going by actions. And as far as I'm concerned, there doesn't seem too many people who are up in arms about a lot of this basic shit. And you know what, guys? I don't blame you, but whatever. This is going to be a reoccurring thing on the channel where I'm going to be looking at some interesting, important, or notable speeches, okay? And I'm going to be reciting them on here, leaving them as is, and then probably commenting on them on another video or whatever. So that was the first one, Dwight D. Eisenhower. I already got the next one recorded. I'm not sure when I'll drop that, but that one's a little more modern. But anyway, you guys know what I'm saying, okay? We can't be budgeting our future here. A baby's born in an ungodly amount of debt. I'm not impressed with your performance, okay? So now to tonight's news. I'm Peter Mansbridge. Alright, tonight we're going to talk about crime in Canada, which kind of spiraled into immigration. I was just on like a little research stupor, and it kind of went where it went. So I'm going to read it to you here tonight. We start with the bill C-75. And I brought this up on the channel a couple times. This is when they messed with the bail reform. This is when they started letting all the people out of jail. It was passed on June 21st, 2019, but we're going to focus on the bail provisions which took effect on December 18th, 2019. In the bill, it said the courts must prioritize releasing accused individuals at the earliest opportunity and on the least onerous conditions. So we got to let these guys out ASAP. Don't trouble yourself too much. If it's Friday and you got to get home to the wife, you got to go to the grocery store, maybe they can stay in jail all weekend. But other than that, we need these guys out ASAP, as soon as possible, okay? Why? Don't worry about it. We need them out ASAP, okay? And actually, the reason for the bill is the courts are backed up. They're trying to speed it up. Long story short, it didn't even work, even though they built like a $1 billion courthouse downtown Toronto or something. It didn't work. They're still tossing out a crazy amount of sexual assault cases that will never get, no justice will ever be served. It's still backlogged the shit. But anyway, we're going to let these guys out of jail because we're trying to like streamline the process here. We're trying to pick the pace up here. When deciding bail, the judge must consider if the accused is Indigenous or part of other vulnerable or overrepresented populations, aka if you're white and you commit a crime, we're going to throw the book at you. If you're Indigenous or not white, you've had a hard life and you've been taken advantage of, and all these white folks who have all their privilege, that's probably been very stressing for you. So we're going to let you out of jail, even if you have assaults, even if you have ties to firearms. We're going to let you out. AKA racist policies on the books in Canada in 2025. So I can already hear it now. I was like, yo, Markcraft 86, you actually can't be racist towards white people. It's not possible. And I say, no, you're brainwashed yuppie, okay? You can be racist towards white people. And in fact, people are incredibly racist towards white people these days, openly, and even the media and your government is racist towards white people. So, and then if white people organize and start standing up for each other, it's like we're the Ku Klux Klan all of a sudden, right? But no, I guarantee you, if I committed a crime, they'd be throwing the book at me because look at me, I'm the definition here. Another thing they did here in the bill was they had reverse onus for intimate partner violence if the accused has a prior conviction, meaning the burden shifts to the accused to explain why they should get bail, right? And that makes it more difficult, so more on that later. The main point of the bill was to help cut through backlogs by reducing court dates, giving judges the ability to toss out less serious crimes like a guy breaking a curfew or something. But the bail reforms are key, and that's what we're going to be focusing on here. So on December 27, 2022, OPP Constable Greg Pierzacella was 28 when he was shot and killed responding to a vehicle in a ditch call. This is in Ontario. Randy McKenzie was out on bail despite having an armed robbery conviction, weapons offenses, and lifetime ban on firearms. Randall is Indigenous, so he was let out, and he pulled the trigger that day, killing Greg Pierzacella. And Randall was on the run, and he was running out of options. And I think they crashed their car. And I'm not sure if they called the cops or if like a neighbor called the cops. Long story short, the cops were called. This is when Greg came out, didn't know what was going on. And I read about the story, and I was like, that's horrible. Because I'm going to read what the reaction was. And I was like, I never thought, oh, I hope I don't see that video. And then just the other day, I was online, and the video popped up, and I'm like, whoa, this is an OPP body cam footage. And I'm like, oh no, is this Greg? And kind of before, well, that's not true. I seen it, and I was letting it play, and yeah, he got shot, and Randall kind of hid behind his girl, got the gun ready, and then popped out, and then shot him, and Randall was also, he was new, he was a rookie, Greg, the officer, he was a rookie, so they kind of say the situational awareness wasn't there. Regardless, man. This guy got shot by someone who shouldn't have been out. He was on the run, Randall. He was with a couple ladies, and he was losing options. You know, he was going to get arrested by Greg, so he shot him and killed him. And then he gets pulled over, or they get caught a couple towns over anyway, so. A man lost his life, and he didn't need to lose his life is basically what I'm getting at here. And because he lost his life, premiers of all 13 provinces and territories wrote a letter to the Prime Minister Trudeau demanding action to strengthen Canada's bail, suggesting reverse onus for bail when accused are charged with possession of a loaded or restricted firearm. The Liberals kept it the same basically, and they talked a good game. Meanwhile, there was a mass stabbing in Saskatchewan. 11 were killed, 17 were injured. Miles Sanderson shouldn't have been out on bail. That was in 2022. Tyrone Samard, age 26, killed his 18-year-old sister and injured several others with a knife. This was in Hollow Water First Nation in Manitoba, Canada. He fled the scene in a stolen vehicle, later died in a car crash with the police cruiser. Tyrone was out on bail at the time. Winnipeg Mayor Scott Gillingham Scott Gillingham, tried to pressure the federal government to reform the bail by posting a bulletin citing an individual that was arrested 16 times between 2005 and 2023. He breached court order 15 times. He had 9 prior violent convictions, including a random assault with multiple victims. He had drug-related attacks involving firearms, a shooting outside a house party, a serious assault in a Winnipeg hotel involving a firearm, multiple violent family assaults. Despite all this, he was out on bail, and in 2021, he allegedly committed second-degree murder in a fatal shooting. So, and this guy was let out of jail 16 times here. Or he was arrested 16 times, sorry. Reminds me of the guy in the States who was arrested 15 or 16 times, let out constantly, and then he ended up stabbing that Ukrainian refugee on the bus there. So, again, common theme on this channel, man. A lot of these first world countries are just letting the violent criminals out of jail. That's weird. And it happened in 2019. That's the year that the Liberals in Canada tweaked the bail. And I could go on all day here, guys, with all the stories I was looking up. I had to cut it. It was crazy. It was depressing. 5 years of crimes by folks that should be in jail, up to murders even. And the Liberals talked a good game. They made little tweaks here and there, just for the optics, just so you think they're doing something. Finally, after so much pressure, 5 whole years, the Liberals would like you to think that they're stepping up. And on October 23rd, 2005, they introduced the Bail and Sentencing Reform Act, which gets going what the premiers just wanted him to get going, which was reverse onus for certain high-risk crimes, stronger consideration of public safety, tougher sentencing for repeat and violent offenders, aka doing their job. So it's like, guys, they tweak the bail. People start getting let out. The stories of the violence is horrific from people who are out on bail. And it got so bad that a police officer was murdered. And there was multiple police officers murdered too. This was just one police officer that made like national news. And there was a police officer murdered. Every single premier gets together. Do you remember hearing about that? I don't really remember hearing about that. It's almost like the news doesn't tell you things that's going to get you all up in arms, right? They just tell you the things that's going to make you think everything's okay kind of thing. But all the premiers get together to say, can you guys reform the bail? People are dying here. And then after 5 whole years, they're like, oh, we're coming with the Bail and Sentencing Reform Act, and we're going to do the thing that you asked us to do back in 2020. Aren't we so smart? And it's like, meanwhile, this is kind of my point here, guys. I don't think the Liberals are like that dumb. I don't think they're, seeing the crime go up and not doing anything about it. So I'm not going to say it's deliberate. Seems deliberate. Because this is why I don't think they're dumb. Because they want the women to really know that they're like taking care of the women, right? Because they're like, if someone commits domestic abuse, and then if they had any other prior conviction, the reverse onus is on them, which, you know what, guys, I agree with. You can do that. That's fine. You shouldn't set a pattern where you're constantly getting arrested for beating up your partner. Okay, that's something we need to stop as soon as possible. So if you can't control your emotions, and if you go to violence to anybody, but especially against someone you love, someone you're supposed to be taking care of here, then yeah, you can do that. But this is what I'm saying. Also do that for people who have guns. Also do that for people who are arrested 16 times. You're making it very clear you're trying to protect the ladies. It's like, also do that, for that all these criminals I just mentioned. So I would argue that the Liberal government, they really care about the female vote, okay? Because I remember when Justin Trudeau got hired and he's like, look at all the women I've hired and put into the House of Commons here and put into the Parliament, okay? I love women is basically what he was saying. I love ladies. Look at me putting all the ladies in here. You know, men basically suck, basically. Look at me protecting your abortion rights, okay? He was kind of a champion for abortion rights. And look at the Liberals strengthening laws protecting women versus the victims of domestic abuse. So yeah, like I was saying, they really wanted ladies to know, you know? So that's what I'm saying. The white men's on top, they're protecting the ladies, and they're protecting the minorities, okay? So woke politics is eating Canada alive. The new budget that just passed, they got $382.5 million over 5 years to the women's program to address systemic barriers. So ladies, $382.5 million that they're going to borrow to put to your women's program. So after these next 5 years, I don't want to hear any ladies talk about how they don't have the same rights as men, because, you know, after they're dropping this amount of cash, you know what I'm saying? They're taking care of you. There's more. 223.4 million over 5 years to fund hotlines, research, and support for gender-based violence. And when I see research and I see 223.4 million over 5 years, I just think sipping coffee and doing research in the office, you know? Like, we're going to figure out how to take care of ladies. I just need a lot of money to get this research done. I got to research how to take care of the ladies. It's going to take about 5 years. And I charge a pretty penny, so that's a lot of money here, ladies, okay? The Department for Women and Gender Equality wage is being given $660.5 million over 5 years for the 2SLGBT-T community, or the plus. Support, including security and insurance for pride events. And yeah, I have it written here. I don't hate gay people. I just hate wasting the money. So I just wanted to let people know, I really don't care your gender, your skin color, your age, your sexual orientation, your religious beliefs. I really couldn't care less. So just in case I get on here, I say some jokes, I might say some hateful things, or yeah. As far as I'm concerned, we're Team Human. We're all on the same team. They have us divided here. Okay? We need to come together here. So, the reason I brought all that up was to sort of illustrate that I don't think the government's dumb. I don't think they're incompetent. Okay? I think they know what they're doing. If they can draft this little budget here, and we're gonna drop money on the women so they love us, we're gonna drop money on the gays so they love us, we're gonna drop money on all the marginalized people that we can think of so that they're gonna vote for us, and we're gonna just take a shit on the men. You know, the men, we've been in charge, we have had the patriarchy, we've been enjoying the milk and honey for a long time, now it's everyone else's turn, or something. It's man, you can't justify that to me. I'm going on record saying that's the stupidest shit ever. So that's why I'm kind of not impressed with Canada and why I'm on the opposite side of it. And I'd love for someone to make it make sense to me. So, because, Mark 36, women have it really hard. It's man, I'm not doubting that. Everyone does. This is my point. They're not running this to make it great. Men don't have it hard. As far as I'm concerned, the last time I checked, it's the men who are unaliving themselves at an insane rate, you know? But how much money goes into them to support them? Well, about $33.9 billion with a B. Okay? Because that's going to be invested into the military/defense. So, fellas, if you want any of that money, you can go join the army, okay? And hopefully you don't get sent over hopefully you don't get sent overseas, basically. Okay, so government daddy keeps the ladies happy. Okay, shits on the men. Guys, I'm not bitter, I'm just saying how it is. Puts marginalized groups above the men, just how it is. Especially white men. Okay, the white men suck because men, we have testosterone, guys. We have testosterone. We have a revolutionary spirit. We have something that you would want to suppress, okay? Men are less agreeable. A lot of the times we need to respect you before we'll even listen to you. You know, most men don't like authority, especially unfair or unearned authority, you know? But who do men listen to? Who do men listen to, guys? Men listen to the ladies. Men will put up with so much stuff from the ladies just so they can get laid. That's basically what it is, right? Testosterone, chasing around, put up with so much. That's what it is. And, you know, that gets taken advantage of like everything else in life, right? So, but they use this to their advantage, okay? Playing the options to secure a sweet lifestyle, let's say. Or whatever. And at the same time, society will flood us with games, Tinder, TV, movies, plays, sports, booze, endless entertainment, all at your fingertips, okay? Sipping wine, getting your nails done, going shopping, chatting with your friends, going to concerts, scrolling social media. And then the regular stress of life on top of that, especially as the economy goes to shit. The point is, man, I don't think the ladies are too plugged in politically. I don't think so. I don't think they're tuned into what the government is up to, man. I don't. On the majority. They're busy working, raising kids, man, being teachers, nurses. They're being journalists at the CBC, man. They're cooking amazing restaurant quality meals. They're sipping the best wine. They're living the best life. They're thinking about how to upgrade their mans or whatever. Meanwhile, the point is we need the ladies on board, guys. This is what I'm trying to get done because the ladies, this is what I'm trying to get across, because the ladies get shit done, man. We need the ladies to be happy, healthy, strong, free, and prosperous. So they have a stable present to enjoy, which could allow them to envision a warm and abundant future for their loved ones and their children. Something meaningful, guys. Something worth fighting for so that they plug in and they help motivate the men for Team Canada taking the shit back, man. Where we quite simply spend the taxes on all of us. We make our streets safe. We make the hospitals dope. We get the jobs going. We make the houses affordable. This isn't rocket appliance here. We stop complicating everything. We stop acting like we can't understand this and that they're taking care of it and that we can just chill and they're going to do it. I guess in the 80s and the 90s, it was one big party. We're all just partying, not even worried about politics. Guys, it's 2025. We have to worry about politics. Otherwise, they're going to take everything from you, okay? I don't care how rich you are, man. I really don't. They're going to... Everyone's getting poor. Everyone. So this is just how it is, guys. 2019, the liberals, they messed it up. They made getting bail way too easy. As far as I'm concerned, they passed racist laws. Okay, they've had 5 years of preventable stabbings, murders, Lord knows what else. And then they finally decide to make bail tougher to get. And that's because there was a crazy amount of public pressure, not because they wanted to. Otherwise, I feel like they just would have, right? Same things with the carjacking, guys. And this is, I'm going to pause to say this is, guys, I pick a topic, start the research, and it goes where it goes. I let it take me where it takes me. If I find things that don't even line up with how I'm thinking, then that's fine. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to present it. It doesn't mean that it's not going to change my mind. I'm not searching for people to confirm my bias. I wish I could come on here and tell you that Canada is great and lovely and we're going down a great road. I really wish I could. So I kind of research things. Wherever it goes, it goes. And the reason I say that is because the crimes, guys, the Grand Theft Autos, from 2020 to 2023, there was a sharp rise in Grand Theft Auto. And then the government launched a national action plan which would include stronger penalties for thieves, increased information sharing between police agencies and government officials and border enforcement, aka doing their jobs better. Just doing your jobs. Like, you see they're stealing cars, and instead of not doing anything, you get this little action plan going. You see they're committing crimes when you let them out of bail, you get your little action plan going, okay? It's like, I'm not going to live in a world where, oh, they just need a little bit of time to like get it. It's like, no, guys. You know that cars are being taken in Canada? They know. And for as long as that went on for, and they weren't doing really anything about it, when they started doing something about it, then crime, motor vehicle theft in 2024 dropped by 17%. So crime goes up for 3 years straight, guys. 3 years, 2020 to like 2023. And now that they're doing something about it, they'll hit you with the headlines like, Grand Theft Auto is down 17% or whatever. But it went up for 3 years straight. So, manipulation of the headlines, man. But that's what I want to say is, like, I'm not going to get on here and tell you that the crime is up and that it's continued to be up. It's like they've recognized that people are stealing cars. They've done a couple things to adjust their strategy, and now people are stealing less cars. And that's... If you're out driving on a Canadian 2-lane highway and the speed limit is 80 kilometers... If the cops pull you over going 90 all the time, eventually you'll stop going over 90 unless you're going to be risking getting a ticket. You understand? If they don't pull you over unless you're going 110, then they're telling you you can go 100. You understand? The law says you have to go 80 kilometers an hour on the highway. You will drive whatever the cops enforce. Okay? They don't pull you over, and it depends where you are. Where I am here, man, they don't pull you over if you're going on the highway 100 kilometers an hour. They probably won't pull you over if you're going 101, 102, 103, okay? When you start creeping up, if they catch a 105, they catch a 110, they catch anything over 110, you're getting pulled over. If they wanted you to be driving 90, guys, they'd be pulling you over at 95, 100. So it's all about what they enforce, so... Oh, yeah, we're the cops. We got all these people we're supposed to be watching. They're stealing all these cars. It's like, if you don't do anything, they're going to keep stealing the cars. Okay? But you came with your little action plan, doing your job. Now the cops are talking to the border agents, talking to the... You know what I mean? Because they're stealing the cars, they're loading them up, and they're shipping them overseas. They're not, they're shipping them away to make money. And that's another thing that the Canadian government is aware of, man. The organized crime in Canada is off the charts. These guys are... organizing, man. Asian gangs come over from Asia when the daylight savings time hits. They come over to Canada. I read an article on it the other day. They come over to Canada when it starts getting dark early, and they're like, stay here all winter, like criminals, man. And then they leave with their booty. They leave with all the loot. And it's like, I'm sorry, man, you can't stop that. We need to stop giving you my tax dollars immediately then. So Grand Theft Autos went up like crazy. They did a little action plan to stop them from stealing your cars, but the cars are still being stolen. Don't kid yourself. And the same with immigration here. Immigration goes nuts, okay, with the international students and the work permits. The millions of people. So Canadians get pissed. You can't even go online without reading about how Canadians are pissed about it, right? And then the Liberals tell us, they're going to curb immigration, guys. Don't even worry about it. You're pissed. We're going to curb immigration, okay? Don't even worry about it. So what they did was they just stopped international visas and workers, okay? Meanwhile, there's such a surge in refugee claims that the border officers let them in before a full security check is even done. Okay, so on the record now, and they wouldn't have told you this, but someone got it out through like a question in the House of Commons here. So on the record now, they're so backed up that basically anyone can go onto the app, say that they're a refugee, they get led into Canada. We're backlogged. It could be up to 2 years here before their case is even reviewed, which means fraudulent people could come into Canada, criminals could come into Canada, they just need to claim refugee status, then you're in here. You could be in here for 2 years, you could get healthcare, schools, work permits, sometimes government paid lodging exceeding up to $200 per day. So the border essentially is wide open here, guys. And yeah, that's actually what I wanted to stick on for a second, is like, the border is wide open here, so they're not going to take international students. They're not going to take the international visas. They're still letting in 500,000 every single year. That's on the record. 500,000 permanent residents every single year. In one of the bills, I forget which one, they're going to pass the law where it's like, you know, as long as you've been here for 1,000 days, your family can come here, kind of thing. So boom, that's another bunch of people that can come over. And yeah, refugee, asylum seekers. If you're in a war-torn country or something, you're fleeing your war-torn country, it's like, Canada ain't even the closest option, man. America ain't even the closest option, man. It's like they're hop, skipping, and jumping all these countries here so they can get to the good countries. So it's like, technically they're not even refugees, man. So the law for like the refugee is like, you can't just pick any country you want. You're a refugee, you're in a war-torn country, you're escaping famine, you're escaping political prosecution or what have you. You go to the next safest country. So it's not about them just getting out of the war-torn countries and we got to do our job and all this. It's literally like they're picking and choosing, man. They're coming over here because why wouldn't you? Especially if our government's going to like give you money and stuff, right? So this is my point, okay? This is like Jerry's final thought here, okay? I don't think all these governments overrun with debt, woke politics, crime, immigration, and housing problems have all of a sudden forgot how to do their job, okay? I think we're being played. So the carjacking went nuts and then they finally did something about it. The immigration went nuts and they finally did something about it, okay? The crime went nuts and then they're finally doing something about it. However we get here, I'm not exactly sure, but the policies, guys, like our elected officials, they don't run the show, okay? The non-profits, the billionaires, that's how they get shit done. They move money around these non-profits, they take these non-profits and they grease your politicians. So instead of listening to Markcraft 86, they listen to whoever, because it's like, oh, they gave me 50 million. Why would I listen to you, Markcraft 86? This guy gave me 50 million. So shout out to Dennis about showing me about the Century what are they called? The Century Initiative, right? Those two guys greasing the Canadian politicians. We want immigration. Here's some money. Da 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 da. Non-profits from the show. They want 100 million people in here by 2100, guys. 100 million people in Canada by 2100, guys. So they know that you're upset about the crime. They know you're upset about the cars. They know you're upset about the immigration. So they're going to tweak a little thing to keep you quiet. And that's going to be good for most people to be like, oh, Canada isn't broken. Look, Mark Carney's doing something. Look, he signed a deal to get the pipeline going with Danielle Smith. Things aren't going so bad. Why don't you chill out there, Markcraft 86? Don't you love your country? But guys, this is what I'm telling you. They don't care about any of that. And if we don't stand up, there will be 100 million people in Canada by 2100. And this is what I'm saying, guys. Someone like born today, they're going to be like an old man by the time 2100 comes around, right? And what kind of country would it be for them? Probably not a good one. Probably one where they own nothing and be happy, if I'm going to take a wild guess as to why these powerful billionaires, trillionaires, all these guys calling the shots through these non-profits, through all these deals they got going on. They're not interested in pulling up the third world. They're not interested in making the first world great. It seems like they're interested in flooding the first world with the third world, almost like ruining our lives. And I don't take too kindly to that, so that's why I'm on here. Basically, can't stop, won't stop, don't care who thinks I'm weird and all this. It's like, Canada is cooked, and Mark Carney doing a couple things to placate or like to make it seem like he's tackling immigration, Grand Theft Auto, and all this stuff. That's exactly what it is. It's just a little placation for you. So the agendas are set. You've been seeing them happen. You've been getting poor. Things have been getting more chaotic. They've been letting people into your country. You've been seeing it happen across the globe, all the first world countries. More and more people are voicing they don't know what's going on. They know something sinister is going on. I go on YouTube and it's like I'm blown away by the amount of popular creators who are like, yeah, I'm going to talk about Jeffrey Epstein now. It's like, you got millions of followers, you got millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, you're set. And you're out here talking about this is because it's got, guys, I don't know about you. I don't know about anyone else. I'm not living in a world where our leaders are essaying children. And I'm not living in a world where our leaders are getting blackmailed, essaying children, and then possibly shooting men, women, whoever in the neck, in the throat, all these suicides, all these assassinations, to cover it up and to keep people from going to jail who should go to jail. So I'm done, man. I'm done with all this bullshit. As far as I'm concerned, this is a fraudulent system. It's like we're all playing a game of Monopoly, and you're 20, 30, 40, 50 years into your game of Monopoly, and you've been trying really hard, man. You've been getting your properties, and you've been following all the rules, and you've been paying all your rent when you land on other people's things, and you've been doing everything you need to do, and then you find out that all this time you thought you were playing a legit game of Monopoly, but the guy who was the banker, you trusted them, man. They were friendly to your face, but they've been gaslighting you, and every time you've been looking over here to get a drink, or every time you had to go to the bathroom or something, because Monopoly takes a long time, right, guys? It's like the game of life. They've been taken from your stash, small enough so you don't notice it. They've been taken from the bank, so they are just rich and they just have money to pay everything off, okay? And they've been striking deals with people while you're gone, forming alliances and going in cahoots and colluding on you. And then you come back and you got like 3 people against you, and then you're looking at them like, guys, are you guys playing against me or what? And they're like, no, we're not forming an alliance. And they're like, okay, hey, do you want to form an alliance, me and you? And they're like, no, I can't form an alliance with you. And I'm like, okay. You guys sure you're not like formed an alliance? And they're like, man, we're not formed an alliance, man. Quit being so paranoid, Markcraft 86. Just, it's your turn. Spin the dice, man. It's like, okay. And then you just find out that the whole thing's fake. The whole thing's rigged. They've been smiling at you the whole time they've been ripping you off. And I just can't continue to play this game, basically. This is me, middle finger to the system. I'm grabbing the table. I'm not part of this family. I'm flipping up your stupid game. Call the cops, I guess. So I'm proud of that video. That's everything I wanted to hit, I think, in this video. Is there any parting words? Is there any in summation? Is there anything else I want to hit while I'm here? .48. I honestly think I hit everything I want to hit. Dwight D. Eisenhower, crime, the immigration, the government, posing. They're fronting, man. I don't think they don't got a handle on this, man. And by that, I mean, what do I mean by that? It's like, what do I really think is going on? It's like, man, to be honest, I don't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I wish I could sit here and tell you guys, yeah, you know, the World Economic Forum, man, they really do mean it. You will own nothing to be happy, and they're slowly going to buy everything up until you can't afford everything. Not just you, but your whole family. And if you're in a country that's disarmed and the weather's going and your money doesn't mean anything, and they are letting people out of the bail, and your home is getting invaded in, and they can kind of promise you a life away from the crime and the famine and the economic disaster, and like, it's almost like everything's going to shit right now, and they're kind of playing it like it's natural. You know, like all the markets or like all, or like whatever. I was like, no, dude, this shit is corrupt to the bone. This is corrupt to the bone. So we got to take this down, back down to the studs and basically like rebuild this shit kind of thing. So I'm not going to get into all that. I think we should need to grow our own food and stop working for these stupid corporations, making them all this money, these soul sucking jobs. But I get it, guys. You need to provide for your family. You can't stop the income of money, but I guess I'm just tired of all this, and that's why I'm making these videos, and that's why I'm doing all this research, and that's why I'm getting all this off my chest and out there. Even if there's not a lot of people watching, doesn't matter. People who know me are going to know where I stand, even if they don't understand what the hell I'm saying. Sometimes I don't even understand. Sometimes I don't even understand. Sometimes I really do feel like this whole thing, and this is the last thing I'll hit before I leave, this whole thing is like a simulation, man, like a computer code simulation. Like if you imagine how video games are now, and you can imagine how VR is right now, and then you can imagine how VR might be in 10, 15, 50, 100 years, where you can't even like distinguish it. Things are so weird on this planet. Things are so stupid on this planet. It's so kindergarten, grade 3 shit on this planet that it's like, this is a simulation. It's not real. You couldn't even script it. And of course you have anxiety, Markcraft86. Of course you feel crazy. This is a big test to try to see how strong of a person you can become. How crazy can things get and you still hold it together. You understand? Even in the face of things not making sense, Markcraft86, can you find something to stabilize yourself? Can you persevere? Can you thrive in this simulation that's meant to make you go utterly, completely insane? And if you can survive this, you'll take your little helmet off and you'll realize that planet Earth and your time on it felt like a whole lifetime, but it was only 10 minutes. And you learned so much about how religion can corrupt people, about how power can corrupt people, about how people can be manipulated, about how people, even without knowing, can be brainwashed and then regurgitate to you government talking points that you know are utterly false. But a full-grown adult will look you in the eye, man, and they'll tell you Trump was a Russian agent. I don't know why you don't believe it, Markcraft86. The jab was safe and effective, man. I don't know what's wrong with you. Putin invaded Ukraine. We just have to defend Ukraine. I'm going to change my status to the Ukrainian flag to show my support. And then what's the next one? I got full-grown men looking at me saying like, I'm anti-Semitic because all these Jewish people run the banks and the Hollywood and the media and seem to be at the head of all these organizations that are pushing for the wars. So even in the face of all that can be true, and it's like you got grown people looking at you in the face and they really think I'm crazy and they really think they're correct, you know? So to be clear, going to say this and then I'll get out of here. Do I think we're in a simulation? Couldn't call it, man. I don't know. Don't really care. You know what I'm going to believe? I'm just going to believe the Holy Bible, all right? God made the planet in 7 days. Okay? He sent Jesus Christ to the planet to show us how we need to treat our fellow humans. We're all made in God's image. We're all, therefore, His children. Therefore, we should all treat each other like brothers and sisters. You know? You look at what's going on in 2025 in Canada and the States, all these countries, and it's like they're promoting sin. It's nothing but sin. Be selfish. Gamble your money away. Watch pornography, no big deal. Get into OnlyFans. Make money showing your titties. You're not a prostitute. Don't worry about it. You know, you're a woman. You're strong. You don't need a man. Men have been holding you down. Men are whack. You should even choose the bear over men. It's like, don't get married and have kids, and then all the ladies want to get married and have kids probably when it's too late in their 30s and shit. So it's like, to be clear, I don't hate women. I don't hate any kind of group. I think we've all been tricked. We've all been played. So they've tricked the women into thinking they're better than the men. Okay? And I honestly think, for as much as they tell white people to like not be racist and not think of like race, I think a lot of people who aren't white think about race, and they talk about white people and they're racist towards white people. So like, dude, I'm sick of pretending this game where everyone's on the up and up, everything's great. I'm supposed to pretend like our schools are great, like our tax shit's great, like the government's in an amazing amount of debt, but they're going to give me a credit score. It's like, digital IDs are coming, and it's like, yeah, man, I just refuse to live in this world where it's like we have to hold adults' hands and be like, thou shalt not kill. Thou don't be so selfish. Don't be so narcissistic. You've been brainwashed. And like, no, I haven't. So it's like, what can I even do, right? This is all I'm doing. So I'm doing this, setting this up, talking my shit. Anyone who wants to come, you come listen. And that's it. So I almost feel like I rambled too much at the end of that video. Maybe I should have kept it tight right after I was done the material. But that's okay. If you've been watching this long, I appreciate it. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It does a lot to get these videos out to people. Other than that, that's about as honest as I know how to be, guys. So, peace.